Mr. Bob Richards with that beautiful little shock jet, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Golden Knights aircraft taking off. They're going to go overhead at 2,000 feet, drop their wind drift indicators, and see what the wind's going to do to their last couple thousand feet of jump, and then they'll be clearing the area. We're also going to launch a couple of other craft that are going to be part of the opening of the show, so that's what's going on right now. Krita. And Tom he's in free fall for 50 seconds, so you got plenty of time. He's steering back and forth. He's seeing what the air currents are doing. That information will be relayed back up to the airplane once he's safely on the ground. And if you watch carefully, you may be able to see his arms and legs spread out. And in just a moment, you'll see the black and gold canopy of the United States Army parachute team, the Golden Knights. Now he has to stabilize that canopy. Once he's happy with it, he will deploy the American flag. And as I'm watching him, I will tell you that we are very happy to have a very special person with us today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We're going to ask you now to stand and honor America. When we receive the signal from the Golden Knights ground controller, we will be listening to the national anthem performed by country artist Natalie Stovall in just a moment.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red flare, the bombs bursting, and air gave proof through the night that a flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Once again, on time, on target, and thank you for singing my favorite song. God bless you. I gotta hug this lady. Oh, Natalie Stovall will be performing again for us at just before the Blue Angels perform on her own stage. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the idea of the parachute was conceived by the Chinese and developed by the Italian artist Leonardo da Vinci.
The early days of flight to the first step on the moon, man has relied extensively on a small deceleration device known as the parachute. Created initially to save a pilot's life as he jumped from his disabled aircraft, parachuting has evolved through modern aviation technology to become the sport of the space age. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sergeant Tom Prida, originally from Vero Beach, Florida. It has been my proud honor to fly in the nation's colors on this, my 496th free fall parachute jump. I will describe for you today a demonstration of precision free fall as performed by members of your United States Army parachute team, the Golden Knights. At this time, members of the Gold demonstration team are circling high overhead and are distinctively painted C-31 aircraft at an altitude of 12,500 feet. the jumpmaster is actually looking out the left door of the aircraft. His head is outside in the wind and the cold. Through a series of hand and arm signals, the jumpmaster is relaying heading corrections to the pilots, maneuvering the aircraft to a precise exit point for the jumpers. Watch closely as you may see the nose of the aircraft move slightly left or right in response to the steering instructions. And the jumpers are out and the smoke is on. We now have two members of the Golden Knights rapidly approaching speeds of 120 miles per hour. These jumpers will fly their bodies apart to gain separation using their hands, arms, legs, and shoulders as flight control. Once they are 100 feet apart, they will turn and face each other and prepare for the baton exchange. These jumpers will fly their bodies each, gauging their speed, distance, and rate of closure to the other. Contact has been made in the 14-inch mahogany baton exchange. They now alter their body positions to form 120-mile-per-hour spirals in the sky. The jumpers now separate and prepare to deploy their main parachutes. And there you have, ladies and gentlemen, the high-flying black and gold of your United States Army Parachute Team, the Golden Knights. Mr. Charlie Hiller, the former team leader of the Eagles aerobatics team and parachute manufacturer, Mr. Steve Snyder, exchanged the first baton in 1958. Until that time, it was believed that two jumpers in freefall could not possibly make contact. The parachutes used by the Army parachute team are flexible wing gliders. They are constructed of a lightweight ripstop nylon and have an inherent forward airspeed of 22 miles per hour. To turn left, the jumper pulls down on the left steering line. To turn right, the jumper simply pulls down on the right steering line. As the jumper nears the ground, you'll pull down on both steering lines simultaneously for the safest and softest possible landing. Watch closely as our two jumpers are bringing it in near the target area. Also been given a hot target for the next pass. On the next pass, you will see the dramatic cutaway maneuver, where a single jumper wearing three parachutes, instead of the two normally worn, will intentionally cause his first parachute to malfunction. At 1,000 feet, the jumper does what's called a wind penetration check, checking his distance and speed across the ground. He'll fly a downwind leg, a base leg 90 degrees to the target, and then face into the wind for a final approach. Ladies and gentlemen, 1,000 feet, these people can hear you. Cheer! Let them know that you're here, Maryland! Watch as our first jumper brings it in on his final approach, making minor corrections with those brake lines. You may notice the tail of the parachute curl under. This slows the jumper's rate of descent while slowing its forward speed for a nice golden eye landing. And our next jumper with the POW MIA flag. Letting it fly. Bringing it in. And there you have a dead center landing. Your United States Army is now a highly sophisticated technological force. We have more computers than IBM, more aircraft than any major airline, and as always, offers you an unparalleled opportunity to become Army Strong. Parachute did not work. Then watch closely, because you are about to find out. The next jumper has exited the aircraft and ignited his smoke canister as he glides to his opening point. He is wearing three parachutes instead of the two normally worn, and will intentionally cause his first parachute to malfunction. Please do not be alarmed when this first parachute begins to tremor. There is absolutely no danger to the jumper. This is our only solo maneuver, and yet one of our most exciting. Watch closely for the black and gold canopy to inflate. good parachute and can be landed. However, the jumper will reach up and release one side of the parachute, causing it to malfunction. The parachute is now accelerating earthward. It speeds in excess of 90 miles per hour. It would be impossible for the jumper to survive a landing under this parachute, so he must release it completely, return to free fall, and open his main parachute. And there you have, ladies and gentlemen, a perfect display of emergency procedure. This is the same procedure that a free fall parachutist would use if he were to have a problem with his main parachute. The reserve or auxiliary parachute used by the Golden Knights is also a medium wing glider. However, there are some differences. It is white in color, with a slightly smaller wing surface area, with a much greater forward airspeed of up to 30 miles per hour. This enables the jumper to make it back into any tight situation, such as a downtown intersection or a major league stadium. Each jumper must repack his or her own main parachute. However, a certified parachute technician must repack the reserve every 180 days, whether it is used or not. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have two small canopies here, and they're going to do a synchronized landing pattern, or else what we call here on the team a swoop. Here they come for a nice high-speed landing. The parachute you see floating overboard will be recovered, untangled, and hooked up for use again. If it does float towards you, please do not attempt to retrieve it. Our recovery team is on its way. As you can see, the parachute floating earthward right now, and it's about to hit the ground. It is a very good parachute, and it will be used again. The same degree of precision, discipline, and teamwork exhibited by the demonstrators and competitors is also reflected in the Golden Knights Elite Aviation Section. Nicknamed Team 6, the pilots who fly the team average over 5,500 flying hours per aviator, and the maintenance technicians who have the important mission of keeping these aircraft flying. Watch as our cutaway jumper brings it in for his final approach. If you like that cutaway maneuver, ladies and gentlemen, let this jumper know. The jumpers are out and the smoke is on. Immediately upon exiting the aircraft, these jumpers snap into a rigid body position, resembling that of an Olympic ski jumper. Their arms at their sides, legs straight, knees locked, and toes pointed, they lock into a position which enables them to gain as much lift as humanly possible. In a sense, they become human airfoils, gaining lift as they streak across the sky at 180 miles per hour. As the jumpers execute 180-degree turns, they are nearly 1.5 miles apart. Due to this tremendous amount of lateral separation, each jumper must first locate a thin trail of red smoke on the horizon, then trace it down to his partner, who appears much like a guided missile streaking back towards him. They will cross within what appears to be inches of each other. And there you have the demanding diamond track. Due to the extremely high degree of precision required to complete such a close cross at these high opposing speeds, each show's diamond track is performed by sets of two-man tracking team. Each tracking team starts off the show season together in our winter training period at Homestead, Florida. There they begin to perfect, performing their flights for the utmost precision and safety. Normally, a tracking team will stay together an entire demonstration season and will only track with each other. Tracking teams are a very tight-knit unit, as there must be a great deal of trust and concentration in someone traveling at you at 180 miles per hour. The C-31 jump aircraft used by the Golden Knights is a medium-range, twin-turboprop cargo plane modified for jump use. It has 2 large doors in the rear, which can be opened while in flight. And it is pressurized for comfort during the travel from Fort Bragg to the various performances throughout the country. I'd like to give a shout out to our pilots up there. Thanks. In the pilot seat is Jim Breeden from Springfield, Virginia, with over 10,000 flight hours, with a combined military service of over 20 years. And in the right seat, he's our Team 6 Aviation Commander, Major Craig Blackwood from Seattle, Washington, has over 2,900 flying hours. And I'd also like to mention he is an avid skydiver with over 145 free-fall parachute jumps. And our C-31 crew chief and flight engineer. He's from Northeast, right here in Maryland, Northeast Maryland. And our next jumper bringing in with the Army Star. Ladies and gentlemen, let them hear you. And look at that beautiful flying Maryland flag right there. Making the corrections with those toggles for a nice dead center landing. And the jumpers are out and the smoke is on. Upon exiting the aircraft, the team leader takes his heading in this direction. The left wing, right wing, and slot flyers key on his movements to form a wide wedge formation in the sky. Since vocal commands cannot be heard in freefall, the team leader must rely on hand and arm signals for communication. At 9,000 feet, the team leader waves his arms, signaling the 3 jumpers to close in for the tight wedge formation. The jumpers are now flying merely inches apart and will make no physical contact while flying in the tight formation. As they approach 5,000 feet, the team leader waves his arms, signaling all 3 jumpers to straight to 3 points of the compass, completing our bomb burst maneuver. Watch for the parachutes. This is our salute to the attendance of today's show. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the high-flying black and gold of your United States Army Parachute Team, the Golden Knights. Now, as you may have guessed, these jumpers are faced with a unique situation. A traffic jam in the sky. They must gain vertical separation to allow for individual approaches into the target area. This is accomplished by pulling on the front part of the parachute and spiraling down at speeds of 60 miles per hour to set up a traffic pattern, just like you might see aircraft at a busy airport. High standards identify the individual team members of the United States Army Parachute Team. We are selected not only for our parachuting skills, but for our soldiering abilities as well. As Golden Knights, we are defenders and ambassadors, citizens in the uniform of the United States Army. And notice the black Army Star canopy. This is our team leader, ladies and gentlemen, for the gold demonstration team, bringing it in for the final approach. Flying his down to the base leg, turning in onto his final approach. If you have any questions about the many opportunities in America's largest corporation, the United States Army, please feel free to contact your local Army who is here at the show today, or give us a call at 1-800-USA-ARMY. You can also discover the United States Army and the Golden Knights on the World Wide Web at www.goarmy.com. Not to be outdone by the rest, ladies and gentlemen, get loud for our last and final jumper of the day. Making the corrections with those toggles, slowing it down, bringing it into the target area for a beautiful landing. I would like to introduce the jumpers in order of their performance. But first, performing the difficult duties of ground control, from Caguas, Puerto Rico, he's an airborne infantryman with 107 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant George Perez. And now for your jumpers. Flying base on the exciting baton pass from Barbersville, West Virginia, is an airborne combo sergeant with 1,250 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant Richard Sloan. His partner, flying chase and helping him exchange that baton. From Fort Worth, Texas, he's an airborne cavalry scout with 1,400 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant Chris Acevedo. And performing the dramatic cutaway maneuver from Orlando, Florida, he's a parachute maintenance technician with 1,050 free fall parachute jumps, Specialist Jesse Stoller. From Riverside, Iowa, he's an airborne truck driver with 2,500 free fall parachute jumps, Staff Sergeant Mike LaRoche. And his partner, helping him with that high-speed canopy pass from Stoneham, Massachusetts. He's a maintenance technician with over 17,000 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Matt Davidson. And streaking left on the demanding time track from Canby, Oregon, he's a recon specialist with 750 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Dustin Peregrine. And his partner, streaking right to help him create that dramatic cross from Salem, Ohio. He's a parachute maintenance technician with 2,500 free fall parachute jumps, Staff Sergeant Chris Clark. Flying left wing on the world-famous Golden Knight wedge formation from Duncansville, Pennsylvania, he's an airborne maintenance supervisor with over 15,000 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Brian Krause. Locked in across from him on that right wing position from Spring Lake, North Carolina, he's an airborne infantryman with 4,200 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Sean Sweeney. And leading the Golden Knights in free fall, all the way from Yuma, Arizona, he's an airborne ranger with 3,850 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class J.D. Borentis. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to present to you the Gold Demonstration Team for the 2011 Air Show season. All members of your United States Army Parachute Team, the Golden Knights. Now, in keeping with a long-standing Golden Knight tradition, we would like to present today's baton, which was flown in free fall, to a distinguished member of today's audience. Chief Select Juanita Brown has stepped forward and will be introduced to the team leader and meet each of the individual team members. Petty Officer Brown was born on January 15, 1983 in San Juan, Puerto Rico, to Sherry McNeil and John Brown. At the age of 4, she moved and was raised in St. John's, Antigua in the West Indies. She attended Prince Margaret Secondary School and graduated in June of 1999. On April 24, 2001, she enlisted in the United States Navy and reported to Recruit Training Command, Great Lakes, Illinois. She then reported to ACA School in Pensacola, Florida, where she graduated on the honor roll November 21st, 2001. December 2001, she reported to her first command, the Naval Airspace in Sigonella, Italy. As an airman, she became fully qualified on all positions. Working in a complex dual-nation facility, she greatly contributed to the mission and worked directly in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. She received her first Navy Achievement Medal for her outstanding contributions to the mission and command. Chief Select Brown, the United States Army, the Golden Knights, and the great state of Maryland proudly salute you. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our performance for the day, and on behalf of the entire team, I would like to thank each and every one of you for being such a warm and receptive airborne audience. In closing, I leave you with this final thought. In the future, may all of your days be prosperous, and your nights golden.